What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Team Solemn Circus live video. It's on the left side here. We have Chimera going up against Infernoids, Snake Eyes on the right side. Before we dive into for the late comments channel a lot, we are going to be seeing the Chimera player going first, starting off with a copy of Branded Fusion. So we still are playing the Branded Fusion package in the deck. This allows us to make the copy of Rinbrum. What's really interesting about this is that, it does lock us into fusions. There are a different variations of the deck with the new upcoming of Infinite Forbidden dropping, where it's going to have a Link monster in it with a trap as well, continuous trap that's going to be able to be set from the deck with that trap, with that Link monster, to kind of provide you as a Omni Negate type of stuff, which is really cool. I guess it's a spot negate, but still quite nice. We're going to see them make the Rinbrum, and then we're making Gazelle. Gazelle's going to be able to search. We're going to also go and search for a copy of, I believe it was Coatl. It could have also been the Nightmare Apprentice here, which is going to be discarding a copy of the Edgem Chain to summon itself out and then search, which is going to search, and then we're going to see the Edgem Chain going to be activating its effects to search for the copy of Frightful Patchwork. We do imperm that copy of the Nightmare Apprentice, letting it so that they can't get that additional search here, where they already have the Coatl in the hand to be able to get that copy of Mirror Swords Knight. Mirror Swords Knight is going to be able to tribute itself for cost anyways, so the imperm is not going to do very good on it, but of course, if we could have hit the Big Wing Bephomet, it would have been quite nice. Because Big Wing is going to be able to search for the Gazelle as well as the copy of the Chimera Fusion, which can allow us to fuse up into a copy of the King of Mythical Beasts. So we're going to see a Chimera Fusion going to be going up into that copy of the King, making us discard an additional card in our hand. Honestly, that card is quite nice. I do like the fact that that was one of the first ones that was used. We're going to be seeing the effect of the Big Wing summon back out the copy of Mirror Swords Knight, so they can use it for the follow-up or in the next turn. We are going to be thinking on this, they are locked into fusions. If they were not, they could have gone for a Beatrice play, which we are going to be seeing is going to be a little bit more popular, especially with the Fiendsmith stuff dropping in next week. Sneak peek is next week, but we're going to be most likely seeing them going to be able to just go up into that and stuff and being able to just rip those cards. And I honestly think that card is going to get banned myself, but they're going to be passing turn with 3 set cards. They're going to be ripping a copy of Decatron from our hand, and then they're going to go past turn on that. We're going to be drawing for turn here, and they do rip that Mirror Swords Knight to go up into a Big Wing once again to refuel that hand with a copy of the Gazelle and a copy of Chimera Fusion, which we can already assume there's going to be one Chimera Fusion in the back row here. We're going to notice another copy of Snake Eyes Ash, and that's going to allow us to get hit with a copy of Imperm. So our hand's not looking too hot. I know that we have, I think it's like a... Okay, so we do have Diabellstar sending a 1-for-1. So we have the Snake Eyes Ash and Diabellstar combo here. But that's kind of the issue with Snake Eyes Infernoid. Is that the fact that you're not playing those hand traps to stop your opponent. You're playing Infernoid cards as bricks. So at this point here, we have an amazing combo, including the copy of the Divine Temple here. We're going to be able to place a Snake Eyes Diabellstar. Now we could link up into stuff and kind of play through that, being able to bring out Princess, so we can bring back out the copy of Ash, and then Ash can maybe go for the copy of the Oak go for Flamebridge. We're going to be going for the Snake Eyes Diabellstars, put the Decatron, the Spawn Chapters on to summon itself out. But so at this point, there's not really much that we can do. We can go up into a copy of the IP, going up into a copy of Princess so that we are going to not be able to be destroyed by card effects with it. Chimera tends to want to go for the Chimera Fusion a lot, and to go into a copy of the Guardian Chimera to pop, but if we have made it with IP, it's not going to be able to be destroyed, therefore kind of letting us get the effects. But of course, they have the Rinbrum when we do activate the effect of the Princess there, and they're going to be negating that and bouncing it back to the extra deck. Now, Rinbrum is an amazing card. People tend to not realize how great it is, but yeah, it's quite nice. But we're going to be seeing Chimera end up taking the game 1, which I think is going to be a bit of a meta contender the next set, like I mentioned earlier, with that copies of the Bunny Rabbit and its trap, but also just having multiple different access to cards, including the Fiendsmith engine in the deck, going to be allowing them to essentially just have more kind of resource type stuff. Being able if you don't see Chimera Fusion, or even potentially playing less Chimera Fusions, Beatrice being able to dump it just can be amazing. Also being able to reborn out, like, we see the king being a level 6. You hand rip your opponent, because I think that the people are going to be playing a lot more of the board breakers. So they're going to be starting with 4 cards in their hand, 3 cards. If they do, I guess they have 5 cards in their hand. They're going to be drawing one for turn, but they are losing a card in their hand, which can be a quite crucial, piece. Also being able to essentially discarding, or I guess sending a copy of, if you use that level 6 to go up into a copy of Beatrice, you can send the dark, whatever it's called, the dark barrier statue, or any other card like Diabels, and then being able to bring that out with a copy of the level 6 that you detached for the Beatrice to send, being able to banish itself and bring it back, can they kind of like give you floodgates, which are kind of cool, making it like so you have an anti-spell that's searchable, or just a dark lock, which obviously some decks can't play through. But moving on to game 2, we are going to be seeing the Infernoid going first here, and we do see a reasoning going to be activated there. When you're playing against a meta deck with a reasoning, you want to normally call 1 here, but they're going to be calling 4. Not exactly sure what we are playing, and that's very understandable. Seeing the Snake Eyes card, you definitely want to most likely call 1, and we are explaining to them like why you'd want to do that, and then I explained like, okay, well, normally you want to call 1 in this scenario. The player is not the most consistent at our locals, therefore he doesn't really know the combos or the other random decks here. And we do hit a copy of Diabellstar, so I guess 1 or 4 would not have mattered. We would have hit the Diabellstar to summon herself out, and then she's going to activate the effects to let us set. What's really nice is that we do have the Infernoid cards in the graveyard, so now if we can go for a copy of Evil, we'll be able to banish or even banish them to summon them out. We're going to be setting a copy of the Origins here, which can also give us access to a Decatron. And it's funny that we hit 2 Imperms and a copy of D-Barrier there as well. We have the D-Barrier in the hand, if I do remember. We have a Tunnel and Deviati in the graveyard as well. But we're going to normal summon out a copy of the Decatron, and then we do send and we're going to be sending a copy of, they ash this, okay. So they're going to be ashing the Decatron there. Probably should have ashed the copy of the Reasoning, because it does let them dump from their deck and multiple cards. But I guess, trying to save it for something that's going to be specific. We do see the Origin sending the copy of Diabellstar, sending the copy of Snake Eyes Ash. Snake Eyes Ash can let us search for the copy of Poplar here, definitely not the Oak. Skipping a step, and then Poplar is going to be able to summon itself out, activating its effects, letting us search for a copy of the Divine Temple. Divine Temple can then place the copy of the Diabels to the Snake Eye Diabels here, which honestly is an amazing addition for the deck. I thought this deck wasn't going to be as good as it was, but now it's just absolutely insane. We are going to go Ash Send. We are thinking before we do that. Because, we can summon out a copy of an Infernoid, but we're going to go Ash Send the Diabels to go up into a copy of Oak. Oak, bring out the copy of the Ash. Then we can go Oak, send Poplar to go up into the copy of the Flamebirch. Then Poplar can put the Snake Eye Diabellstar back in the spell and trap card zone. So you're just giving us a free body with that. Because now the Snake Eye Diabellstar can summon itself out in place, either placing a Poplar. We do have the 1-for-1 sending another Poplar from our hand to summon out a copy of, I'm going to assume, the Decatron there. Now we could have done this prior so that we had an Infernoid on the field, or just having like a monster or spell negate, which was kind of our plan in the first place, but they didn't really kind of stop us with anything else there, so chances are they don't have anything other than like maybe a nib, and even if we get nibbed, we can always summon out other copies of stuff with the Flamebird being in rotation. So we are pretty safe, maybe not playing it the most optimal way. I really don't actually like this deck. Like, I was playing it, and I was testing it prior to locals, and I made a deck profile on it, because I just didn't see that there was much players playing it. I just honestly don't think that the deck is that good. Like, it's just worse Snake Eyes, and if you have the deck, you might as well just play Snake Eyes as the deck. The hand traps is not what's stopping you. And then like with Infernoids, I'd rather just play the Infernoid cards and having more access to them. Because like the Snake Eyes cards don't really give you access to the Infernoid cards, while the Infernoid cards just like do stuff, and having to play multiple copies of them. Like I found myself a lot of the times not being able to set the trap because I didn't have as many in deck, because I ended up milling them or I had too many in the hand. And just being able to like change how the deck plays, I probably just feel like they're two different decks. Mixing them together is not going to be the best. So here I'm going to be banishing one, going into the evil with the copy of Proxy. And then we're going to be summoning out, or we're going to be dumping a bunch here. We're going to then link up into a copy of the IP. And let's go list the evil, search for the copy of the Imaginations here. And then we're going to be seeing the Flamebird summon out a copy of Decatron alongside a copy of Poplar. And then we're going to go the Imaginations here. We don't want to use the Decatron at all because of the fact that we have so much. Or maybe we did do the Decatron and I just did not realize. We're going to go summon out the copy of Inuku because we placed the Imaginations. Then we're going to summon the copy of Deviati here as well. We placed the green counter on the one that is Spell and Trap Negate just so that they know. It's pretty easy. But, making everything level 1 can be quite nice. We do have Princess that we can go into here if we want to go up into the copy of the, using the Poplar here. We leave the copy of Decatron so that we can go into the Flood as well. So we're going to see Princess bring out that copy of Flamebird, and then we're going to be making the Flood there. And there's not really much that we can place in the Spell Trap. We could have done other stuff, like, with that IP. But there's just really no need, Flamebird can place the copy of Snake Eyes Diabell if we wanted to, which we are going to be doing there just so that we have essentially a better follow-up. It could have either been that or the copy of Diabell Star. It doesn't really matter depending on how we want to follow up. We do have D-Barrier set, looking back, we probably should have set the copy, or probably should have made Diabell Star the continuous, so that if we do choose to summon it out, we can then get a search for Wanted next turn, which kind of lets us play through stuff. But we have Flood, a Spell and Trap Negate, a Monster Negate, as well as IP going into Flamebird. With Flamebird bringing out like even another copy of Decatron there. To maybe dump a copy of Deviati or Inuku, depending on what we have left in deck. We have a DD Crow regardless. And then we have D-Barrier as well as Oak bring out, and a Princess as well. So having like 6 forms of interaction, they are going to go D-Barrier there, and we flip up, or we're going to go Branded Fusion there, and they respond with a copy of D-Barrier calling Fusion, and that's just going to be it. Yeah, having essentially just going to be locking them out of the game with fusions when their deck is obviously off fusions. That card is definitely got to go, especially with the, first off, I'm just going to say, I'm going to preface, D-Barrier itself is just a generic card. With just being 3 in the side decks, it's just insane. But now with Fiendsmith into it, you're going to be having the level 6, I think it's called Ramosa, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to be pulling it out there. And the copy of Beatrice as well. Lacrimosa, you can just, it's a level 6, so you just have it under the copy of Beatrice. And then when you detach itself to send the copy of the blue tier, Lacrimosa is going to activate the effect Burning for 1200 to your opponent, being a nice little long young. And then the Angel of Blue tier is going to be able to trigger, letting you add any normal trap from your deck. And guess what's a normal trap that's uninteractable? A D-Barrier. So even if you don't open it up, you still have an access point to get to it. And now, while it's not the best against decks like Yubel, Fiendsmith, alongside even Snake Eye, when you're playing against a different deck or a rogue deck, like for example Chimera or Branded, even Sword Soul, most of the time they're not going to fit in those 15 hand trap cards, or we're going to be on a board breaker format regardless, where there's not going to be that much interaction with that copy of Beatrice there, or Lacrimosa, really whatever else you want to go to. Kind of unfortunate, we do have maybe Purely, which can play a bunch of hand traps, but if they do merge onto the board breaker side of things, it's going to be quite difficult for us to deal with that copy of D-Barrier, which I think it's finally time for that card to go. I've wanted to go for a while now, but I think that maybe Now it's just a little bit too far. But moving on into the all-important Game 3, we are going to be seeing Chimera go first. We did see the Infernoid big board setup there, which I think is the biggest board that we can make in the deck, which is why I wanted to feature this deck off, the day after the deck profile. Which there should be some combo videos coming later in the day. We're going to see a Coatl, and then we do flip up our deck or hand by accident here. We're going to then search for a copy of, I think it was Mirror Swords Knight. We're going to normal summon Mirror Swords Knight, activate its effects, summon with a copy of Big Wing. Big Wing can then search for the Chimera Fusion alongside the copy of the Gazelle here. And like we already are off to the races. We have both of the good illusions in the graveyard here to be able to get the negates and stuff like that. We have our access to the King. We have Fright for Patchwork to be able to search for a copy of Polymerization as well as Edge of Chain. Now, unfortunately for this deck, I don't think the deck is going to be as good as the rest of the stuff, not only because of the fact that Snake Eyes and Yubel can kind of play through Duel and Lockbird, but with the Fiendsmith cards being piled into every single deck and getting a search, Duel and Lockbird is going to most likely become the tier 1 card in the meta. Going to be in everyone's main deck if you can play it. Now, obviously, it's going to be tuning other decks, in the branded strategy, for example, going to be most likely stopping to playing the Edgem Patchworks and the Edgem Chains in the deck, maybe even cutting a Lair of Darkness, but it's going to be affecting decks like this deck here, Chimera. So kind of like playing less of those cards, which is going to be a little bit unfortunate because they do require a lot of discarding and searching, and being able to search for 2 other free cards, which also then the chain replenish itself with the copy of the Patchwork. Can be quite nice, being able to discard the off of the Diabells here. We do see them search for Diabells off the copy of the Apprentice Illusion, and like if we look here, our hand is completely loaded. We do have a Cobble the Grave in the hand as well, so if we did have any hand traps, we would have been able to stop it. We are going to be discarding from our opponent's hand during the end phase here, leaving them on 4 cards and top decking for 5. But we're going to be activating Polymerization using the copy of Albaz as well as the Diabells to go up into a copy of Albion. So Albion can then activate its effects using itself and Albaz to go up into a copy of Mirror Jade. Definitely not what we're looking for. But at the same time, we could just go into the Mirror Jade send, for example, the copy of Albion if we want to go for a Guardian Chimera. But we already have a Chimera Fusion in the hand, if I'm not mistaken. So we will be able to set some cards there to kind of go into that copy of the Guardian Chimera. Which is nice because you don't have to really use your branded and red in this case. But they're going to be seeing them go end phase with 2 other sets and sending the Wanted to the graveyard. We're going to draw for turn, and they are going to go into the Mirror Swords Knight to go up into a copy of the Big Wing once again. Then that's going to let us search for a copy of the Chimera Fusion alongside a copy of Gazelle, placing them off to the side. And we kind of want to go into something to put that copy of the King Gazelle in the graveyard there, and letting us be able to banish it to bring out the copy of the Diabells. But we are not really in a rush here, and we go the end of main, they go battle phase, maybe thinking it was a bluff, and the end of battle phase, we are going to be activating the effect of evenly matched here. So they are thinking in the graveyard if they have anything they want to protect. They do have the copy of Mirror Swords Knight alongside the copy of the Coatl here, so maybe keeping the Chimera King of the Mythical Beast or whatever it's called onto the leaving it onto the field so they have other ways of interaction. But we are going to be seeing they have to keep 1 card. I'm going to safely assume we're not keeping the copy of Mirror Jade there. So we are keeping the Chimera, the King of the Phantom Beasts, and that's going to allow us to have, the Mirror Swords Knight as well as the Coatl, most likely being the most interruption that we can keep with that 1 card. We are going to be normal summoning with the Decatron, activating effect, getting hit with a Mirror Swords Knight, and now we are 1 interaction deep. Now we have evenly matched the field, but with a second field as in the graveyard, and being able to add, we saw 4 cards, or I think it was like a total of 7 cards from their hand, in the last 2 turns. But we're going to go up into a copy of the Anima. They did play in not into the zone here, which is quite nice. And then we get to summon out a copy of the Jet here by banishing. Unfortunately, it's not going to do very much for us. We can go up into... I'm not even sure where this gets us. An SP, I suppose. I know we have a second copy even matched in the hand. Like SP, I guess you can just banish a copy of the... I think I was trying to hit the Gazelle here, like the Chimera. And they do have Coatl, so they're going to be able to stop because it does target. And then we're just going to chain the SP. Just so that our SP doesn't get destroyed, because Coatl does destroy it, which is kind of important to note. And then we're going to see us go to the end phase, and then we're going to be bringing out that copy of SP and the Chimera once again. So now we pass turn, and all we have is a copy of SP and a evenly matched, and definitely not going to be the greatest. But that's something that I was mentioning with the Infernoid cards. Unfortunately, you need to see multiple cards in your hand, and when you have double copies of evenly matched and other bad Infernoids, you're not doing too much. You're just kind of sitting in the water, especially against a deck that can combo off like this. We see them adding so many cards to the deck. They're kind of really removing a bunch of their bad draws. And so now we have a copy of Edge Patchwork that can activate, and we are thinking about chaining the copy of SP here, just so that we don't just get it beat over. But looking back, we probably should have left it there, because this is not going to this is going to essentially make it so that they have enough resources to get game on board. I guess a 21 is not going to hurt us that bad. If they go battle phase right now, we take 500, it's not going to be over. But at the same time, we're not going to be really getting anything with our evenly matched. So I guess at this point, I'm just kind of hoping that they can't game us. So you just try to go for as much as they can and then get hit with a copy of evenly. But we shall see. We are going to be seeing a copy of Chimera Fusion. That's going to let them go for a chain and a Gazelle to go up into the other Chimera guy. The not the Illusion Beast, but the Bephermat there. Which can let us dump the copy of Tau. Tau can then bring back out the Diabells. And now we can't even use our evenly matched, which is very important to note. So they did summon it in defense. I don't think, maybe Tau has to summon it in defense. I'm not exactly sure. I'll just take a second to read the copy of the Tau. It does summon in defense, okay. Then you can't summon for the rest of the turn except illusion monsters. So they're going to go Polymerization into a copy of the Chimera, the Illusion Beast. They then a bunch of cards from their hand, but unfortunately they thought it could attack directly. Or so they thought it could attack as many times as the material is used, but it's attacking monsters. So we're going to be saying that's fine. Obviously it's just a little bit of a metal. There's no way this card is just an OTK beat stick, right? I was that'd be insane, but that's fine. I let them take it back because there really is no point into not. It is just a locals. There's no need to kind of shark those plays, making them burn through all those cards just so they can attack with a 31 beat stick. So we're going to go into that regardless here, though. And then we're going to be able to summon out the copy of the Apprentice Illusion by discarding a Branded Fusion. Maybe not having any more Albazes in the deck. We did see them banish them off the Albion. Probably not expecting to get into the multiple turns later. We do summon out a copy of Mirror Swords Knight, and we don't have any more big wings left to tribute it off for to get anything bigger, but we can still go battle phase, but unfortunately this is not going to be enough. I keep forgetting that Mirror Swords Knight's at 19 as well. I always thought it was a 0/0. But, attacking for 2,000, attacking for 31 brings us to 51, and then attacking for 19. Is that not just game? I'm not 100% sure I'm good at quick math, but no, it leaves us at 1,000 here, and we haven't evenly matched once again. That's just devastating. Keeping the copy of the Chimera beast there. They're going to set one, and then we're going to be seeing the SP come back alongside the Chimera. And we are going to be in trouble here. We kind of need a normal summon of a Snake Eyes Ash, something like that. And what do we see? We see a copy of the Bephermat. Summon out a copy of... So we're going to banish Bephermat to summon out... They have a monster or a spell negate, really. So I summon out a copy of the Mirror Swords Knight, being a monster negate, and we have a copy of OSS to send the copy of SP, which can give us access to a Snake Eyes Ash, but they have the monster negate on the field here. If they're going to be able to use it, they are going to use it on the Snake Eyes Ash, and at this point, we are just done. Unfortunately, we didn't have another card to to send. So we do go Wanted Banished to search, and it is an Antra, which we can kind of play through, but summoning it out, which can then let us bounce the copy of Chimera, but without another good link to go into, it just does nothing. I mean, I suppose that I didn't think about it as it negates that effect, so it's not like a blanket Veiler. So we could have gone a Snake Eyes Ash, send the copy of Antra to go up into an Oak bring out. Yeah, that's definitely, I misplayed there. I thought that it negated the whole effect. It actually just negates that effect. So I just scoop it up. I could have gone for Oak bring out, and then let us continue playing there by bringing out the Ash, and go for the copy of the Flamberge. Flamberge can push, or I guess Flamberge can't even, it can attack into it. I'll take 100, summon out the two bodies. That doesn't do anything else though. So I guess we were still losing regardless. I'm not exactly sure what that face down was, but it was, unless we got a Poplar in the grave, we weren't going to be winning that one, unfortunately. But regardless, hope you enjoyed watching the video. We saw Chimera end up taking the win there. Hope you enjoyed watching the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to see more content like this. And don't forget to stay safe. Peace.